want to talk to you today about the Nedinsko building, which is an old factory near the city center of Venlo, which is a monument, by the way. And we wanted to, it's a big hype in Venlo now, the whole discussion about this building. And the discussion mostly goes about demolishment or preservation of this building. And we wanted to rethink this concept of monument, which literally means to remind, and at the same time it means to warn. So we wanted to explore this by a couple of scenarios. We thought of 4 scenarios to rethink how to deal with monuments. Scenario 1 is holes.
So, holes. Why add anything? Why add something if you can also add nothing? And you can also make something or change the meaning of something by adding nothing instead of adding something. So you can see Franzo here, he's in his own hole. It's his form. In the United States, you had Gordon Matta Clark, and he used demolishment sites. He gutted holes in it, and then changing the meaning of what was standing. So he added a sphere, he added emptiness. This is, I guess, one of his best known pictures. Added a sphere into a building and making new views, understanding the structure better, or in another way. So if you project this on Nedinsko, you can also have different outcome of what is there. So why add, and let
nothing.
it stand.
Why add nothing?
Well, so this is the Nedinsko building. It has a hole in it, and does that change the meaning of what is there? And what would it be like for the people of Venlo when they thought of Nedinsko with a hole in it? Because it has a lot of history, and a strange history, a violent history. And also imagine then standing inside it and looking down, understanding the structure by looking at empty void.
It raises the question, isn't adding something as legitimate as taking away something? Adding nothing. Scenario 2 we experimented with is scars. You know, this is, especially when you think of buildings which are damaged, what do you do with this damage? Do you cover it up? Especially when you think of buildings which are damaged, for example, in war situations. Do you rebuild it? Or do you do something to emphasize the scars? These are 2 examples from an architect called Lebbeus Woods. He's the most theoretical architect in the world right now, who, by the way, never built anything, but is very influential among students and academics. And he has this kind of theory. This is, for example, a building in Sarajevo. He did a project. This building was then damaged. And what do you do? Do you remember this event? Also, if it's not a positive event, but is it still important to remember it? Or do you rebuild it exactly the same way as it was? Here an example, if you emphasize this scar, this could be the result. This is, by the way, not real, but just a very good render. Want to add something?
Yeah, well, a monument is not about staying there or being demolished. It's more about how it functions as a memory, or how it should be a warning. And this is Venlo in the Second World War, when it was demolished by probably German bombs. You can see also that the bridge is down. Imagine if the part of the bridge would be put into the part of Nedinsko that was destroyed, then it should be really a warning, like don't forget about this. But it isn't. It has been rebuilt in a kind of way. So almost. Our third scenario or approach is to add parasites. So you take the thing that is as a host. Nedinsko is then a host and has as an environment to put things in that are most likely to be there. So you can put a plastic cocoon into it, or as this picture says, a shelter for homeless, which is connected to warmth output, to the heating output. This is a way of adding a parasite to a building. If you think of the conditions that Nidinsko offers, it has a view, of course, because it's a high building, and it can function as a camping. You put things in there that has own isolation, so you really don't need the building to have that. It's a possibility to look at the thing differently.
Then we arrive at our first and last scenario. To conserve a building, just clean it up, give it a paint job. At the picture behind, you see an example from Ben Natsumi, who just places another structure really close to the monument, and you get this kind of in-between spaces. What happens in between? You get a kind of sequence from one structure to the other. A kind of cinematographic approach, and you get this kind of really amazing in-between spaces. We applied this ourselves with a nice collage over the Nidinsko community, much better than Tsumi does this, of course. And then I think we're almost arriving at our last slide.
But it's about re-establishing what is by adding something new that gives us a contrast. But okay, end of approach.
Greetings from Venlo.